Hello, you're listening to Robert Myers, and I'm joined here today by Andy Street, the former Managing Director of John Lewis and the Conservative candidate for the Mayor of West Midlands. Thank you, Andy, for agreeing to answer a few questions today. As the Conservative candidate, can you give any highlights from your policy agenda that you seek to implement on taking office as Mayor of West Midlands? What sets you apart from other candidates?
Okay, so thank you very much, Robert, for giving me the opportunity. What sets me apart is the question. I think the one-word answer is experience. And I've got proven track record, and I think I can make things happen and deliver for the people of the West Midlands. I'm up against a candidate who's been a career politician. My whole background is being a businessman and running the local enterprise partnership here, and it was all about making things happen, and in the case of the local enterprise partnership, making the economy grow. So that's my ticket.
Okay, so what would your vision for the West Midlands be over the next 4 years, or what would you seek to achieve?
Yeah, so I think you can take that question as the overall sort of theme, and then you can pull out some individual things. So in terms of the overall theme, students here might find this hard to believe, but this is a proud region that you will accept, but one that had a brilliant economic past. And we find that hard over the last few decades, really, to maintain that. So this is about regaining our leadership of the economy outside London. And that's utterly realistic. So it's about practical matters around jobs, around transport, around housing, the big economic levers.
Okay. As Mayor of the West Midlands, would you seek to engage with the University of Warwick, and what form would such
Yes,
take?
I mean, my clear view, and I've already shown this as LEP chair, is that the universities have a critical role in the future of the economy. And frankly, it's not been played well enough, not by the university, but by people running economic policy across the region in the past. So I've already been here 3 times during the course of this campaign. First of all, to talk to a group of entrepreneurs about mechanisms for funding for setting up businesses, and then to the Warwick Manufacturing Group to look about what they're doing with our industries of the future. So this university, given how brilliant it is at working with local business, has got a fundamental role in the future.
Okay, right, I'm going to ask a slightly tougher question. The duties of being mayor will incorporate the role of the Police and Crime Commissioner, as that position is now currently being abolished. The elections for the PCC have had historically quite low voter turnout, sometimes as low as 10%. If such a turnout was, if you achieve such a turnout, would you still consider yourself having a strong democratic mandate, and what would you do to alleviate concerns relating to that?
It's a very good question. Thank you for asking it. So just to be absolutely clear, the Mayor doesn't take over the policing responsibilities in the first term. That's planned for 2020. But your question is still very fair. So I expect us to get a much higher turnout than that, and it's why actually I've given up my job 6 months before, and I'm spending that 6 months getting out and about, telling people what's at stake and driving interest in this election. And I want as many people as possible to take part so we can say we have that mandate. My suspicion is that we will get a much bigger turnout than the PCC first election.
Okay, right, moving to the most pertinent issue in British politics, namely the political shake-up initiated by the vote to leave the European Union on June the 23rd of last year. What's your take on it?
So I don't mind telling you this, I personally voted Remain, but my first take on it is that that is now irrelevant, and we've all got to implement the wish of the British people. There are some opportunities for the West Midlands in this, some very important opportunities. First of all, it looks as though the London Financial Centre is going to be possibly less strong than in the past, so it makes the regions relatively more important. And it's actually helped drive the big investment in infrastructure in this region already. The government's more keen to do that. And then the other really big issue is, what is the trade arrangement? You think of car manufacturing here. What is going to be the arrangement for access to the European market, which is about 25% of car exports? So there's that massive issue. Lots of important things to come out. But what really matters is who's going to lead us through those tough things.
Right, you've already answered my next question, which was going to be how Brexit would affect the West Midlands. But we're going to move on to something slightly lighter
with pleasure,
given that it's a student radio station. We're going to talk a bit about your interests. And I'll ask broadly, because we do have a very, very big sports section to our radio station. Do you follow any sports teams, specific sports?
Yes. So I'll probably get myself in trouble with some of your listeners for this, but being a Brummie boy, Aston Villa is my team, so we all have that cross to bear. What do I do myself? You might not say it's sport, but others might. My sort of rest and relaxation to get away from this slightly mad world that I entered is take myself to my holiday place in Snowdonia, and I love putting my walking boots on and getting up the hills. Then I do a fair bit of swimming, keep fit as well. So yeah, I like to keep myself, sane in this political world.
Okay, and as we're a radio station, do you have any bands, albums, songs you're fond of?
Of course I have some albums. Gosh, who doesn't? I'll tell you, actually, maybe the way of answering that question best, my next gig that I'm going to is in Birmingham to see Elbow. So there you are. That's the next thing to look forward to. 2nd of March in town.
Right, so we're going to be doing this for every other candidate, but I'd just like to ask finally, in less than 1 minute, Andy, why should voters cast their ballot for you in May?
They should cast their ballot for me because I will outline a clear plan of what is going to be done around things that really matter, jobs, transport, and they can have confidence that I can deliver it because that's what I've spent the last 30 years of my life doing it in a different but equally tough environment.
Thank you very much for your time, and that's about it, and we wish you the very best of luck for your candidacy and great success in May.
Thank you very much. Hi there, I'm Andy Street, candidate for the West Midlands Mayor, and you're listening to Raw 12:51 AM.